Well, hello there. Well, wait, don't stop. I'll just edit this out.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the DMZ America podcast. This is episode 163. It's Monday, September 9th, 2024. This is going to be a shorty. It's going to be a pre-debate debate. Not really. No, there's not going to be any debate here. But I am Scott Stantis, editorial cartoonist, coming to you from the right.
And I am editorial cartoonist Ted Rall, coming to you from the left.
So tomorrow is the big day. Seriously, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other debates where the stakes were this high. They're always high. I mean, this is like, political theater at its highest, Ted. I mean, you know
True.
that. But there are huge questions hanging over both candidates. Donald Trump, I'm convinced he's cognitively diminished, significantly diminished, regardless of what other Republicans or Republican hacks say, that, that's just spin from they're using the exact same verbiage that the pro-Biden Democrats were saying. No, that's bullshit. That's just what the mainstream media, the conservative media wants you to believe. Republicans, that's just what the liberal media wants you to believe.
You're ageists. How dare you?
How dare we? But we see what we see and we hear what we hear. I mean, this is not, we're salient human beings, and we can recognize when someone's cognitive abilities ain't what they used to be. On the other side, and we're going to do a deeper dive into this as we go along today, but the Harris, she has to give people like me, who are never Trump Republicans, a reason to vote for her. There's no reason other than she's not Trump, which is, there are a lot of voters who that's enough.
Yeah.
But it's not enough right now. Most of the polls are showing a dead heat, except for the national polls, which show that Harris is ahead by 4, 5, 6 points. But in battleground states, it's neck and neck. This is going to be extremely important. And I guess the question is, okay, let's start with Harris. What does she have to do, Ted? And, what's a successful debate for Vice President Kamala Harris?
She is going to need to have a few zingers, which I think she will be able to do.
But she never lands those. They're always
She did do the one with, it wasn't really a zinger. I was that little girl on the bus, right? Even though she wasn't really that little girl on the bus, but that doesn't really matter, right?
No.
I think she can tick off that box. The second part is really hard. She has to come off as someone that Americans can imagine seeing on their TV day after day for 4 to 8 years, meeting with foreign leaders, informing us about crises and foreign policy problems and whatnot. She has to make you feel like someone strong and smart and wise is in charge. That's tough. And I think also she's got to, if this is a change election, and I think it is a change election, she's got to make the case that she can be an agent of change, even though she's an incumbent vice president who has basically endorsed everything that the president has done up until now. She needs to differentiate herself from Biden without losing the core Democratic support that brought her there. I don't know how she can do that. And then I think also, I'm not saying it can't be done. I just think it's really hard. According to the New York Times Siena College poll that was released over the weekend, and that's the one we should take the most seriously because it is the most recent. The other polls that we've seen basically still had the glow of the honeymoon. I think that her one and only interview that she gave, the one on CNN to Donna Bash, did not go well, and it basically caused a lot of people who were initially excited about her to think twice. And now people want to know what she's about. There's no policies. The Democratic National Committee has not posted any platform whatsoever for the Democratic Party this year. There's no platform whatsoever posted on her website. She has been exceedingly vague or so specific as to be granular and all, like about a few issues. her economic proposals have been met with derision by both the right and the left. She would need to come out with a few, I'd say 3 very popular and powerful platform ideas that people could really get behind. If we remember, like the last candidate who had incredible discipline doing that was Bernie Sanders. He had the same 3 ideas: Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, for student loan forgiveness. He pounded away at those ideas for 5 years, and nothing else. If she can do that, and those were popular ideas, particularly among young people, then she'll make traction. I think she's got a lot to do, and she's got to also come off as a serious yet likable person.
Well, let me jump in and say, I'm not sure about the likable, and I'll tell you why, because, well, Ted understands me. You do. Lately, I've been watching a lot of videos of Richard Nixon interviews. Nixon did not win the presidency because he was charming. He's not by any stretch, but he was remarkably qualified and remarkably conversant on issues. And when these interviews just showed me this guy was smart and understood governance and understood governing and how to get from point A to point B. And then and the other thing that's interesting about it, Ted, he trusted the American people to understand what he was saying. It was really kind of, God, I wish we had and that's one way that Kamala Harris could go, is just extreme competence. But she's shown no evidence of that. The other one is to charm us. She's shown no evidence of that.
I don't think she can do that.
It's not like, Bill Clinton charmed us, right? I mean, for better, for ill. He charmed America, and
Bernie Sanders had a strange, but charm.
But not just charm, but you mentioned his 3 points. He had the competence and the grasp of those points to go. If he had to get granular, he would. But they were on the surface, they're points that you and I can say, yeah, I like that, or no, I don't.
Right.
Coming into the debates, what's been interesting too, Ted, is listening to reports of how each candidate is preparing. She's been sequestered for like 4 days. I mean,
5.
working on, and it's crazy. He is having, and this sounds so Trumpy to me, he's just having aides randomly throw questions at him during the course of the day.
Well, it's kind of like, he is Peter Sellers as Inspector Clouseau. Remember how he hired Cato to attack him?
Yes.
His manservant to keep him sharp.
And this is not staying sharp.
He hired his rhetorical Catos. Like, while I'm taking a shit, come in and ask me, shoot me a question.
So the third approach that Harris could take to this debate is to just be competent, stay to the talking points. And if Trump really is as cognitively fucked up as I think he is, and I know you think so too.
I do think so.
Let him do what happened to Biden. Just let him talk. Let him do his thing.
Yeah.
And
that will be interesting, because most voters have not really seen much of Donald Trump over the last 4 years. Only the people at his rallies have seen him.
Right. And the rallies, they don't cover the full rallies. They break away because he talks for 2 fucking hours.
So the thing is that, like, for a lot of people, they're gonna notice the change between, imagine, like, I think that's what happened with Biden and the debate, right? Most people, even though he was the president of the United States, apparently didn't really pay attention to his many senior moments over the previous 4 years. But then they're like, for the first time in 4 years, they paid attention to this guy. And it was like, wait, this isn't the guy we voted for. I would argue, you and I would argue that, yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
However, he was worse. He did get worse. He was bad, though, to begin with. That's the important part to remember. And I think so, like, people who last, kept an eye on Donald Trump, in January of 2021, are going to be like, they're going to notice a difference.
Oh, absolutely. And there is, I mean, he's 78 years old. I mean, he's old.
Same age Biden was when he was elected.
So yeah, now you had a very interesting take. If we were advising Vice President Harris. Let's begin with this, and then we'll shift to Trump. If
Mhm.
you were advising Harris, one line you came up with, which I think would be effective, was what? Go ahead.
Well, she may be asked about, and if she's not asked about it, she could bring it up herself. The question of what did she know and how much and when did she know it about Biden's cognitive acuity issues? And, obviously that's important because it really is kind of a form of treason to know that you're serving a senile president and not raise the issue. I mean, the 25th Amendment is literally there for the vice president to trigger. It literally would have been her job to do that. She wasn't just like one of many. It was literally one. I mean, the Constitution doesn't assign, I don't think, any other major responsibility to the vice president except that one, right? So they could say, so she could bring up, or when it comes up and she's asked about it, she could say, the truth is, I don't really know how to answer that question. It was a slow, gradual process as the president aged. I thought he was fine when we were elected. And every now and then I'd notice something, but it didn't really rise to the level of anything other than just, hey, old guy's gonna be old. But after a while, I kind of realized that at some point we had crossed a Rubicon, and he was not who who we all thought he was. And that became worrisome. And I really wish I'd been able to identify that, when it happened. But now that I do have that experience, having watched that, I'm much more alert to the early signs of dementia. And I'm sorry, and it pains me to say this, and I guess I don't expect anyone to believe me, but Mr. Trump, I believe you're starting to, a lot of the way you talk and the way you look and the way you act reminds me a lot of what Joe was like when we were elected.
That would be devastating, I think, because then, Trump wouldn't, I mean, how do you respond to that? First of all, how do you respond to someone saying,
fuck you.
No, he's going to say, I'm as good as I ever was. Just ask the porn stars. I'm fucking just, it's all that and more. My brain is a beautiful brain. Everyone says so. And that he's going to say, at least I didn't have to give blowjobs to get my jobs.
I mean, no, he's got the blowjobs. I was the one who was blowjobbed.
I don't know if that's a word.
I was that little boy getting sucked.
So that's where I think you're right. I think that could be a tact. My tact would be slow down. You don't have to, you're not gas. You don't have to fill up the space you're given.
Right.
If you're saying, what do you think about tax
She
cuts?
always talks slowly anyway. So
right.
Painfully slowly. And frankly,
sometimes
it's one of the things I find really irritating about her.
She doesn't have a great voice. Listening to her speech at the Democratic National Convention, which I think she really did knock it out of the park. It really met the moment.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those moments that is unscripted for the most part. I mean, there really are going to be moments. How do you respond to it? The Michael Dukakis's campaign partially got, torpedoed when he wrote, he looked like a giant penis in that helmet when he was riding the tank.
Yeah.
But the wheels came off when he was asked the question if your wife was raped and murdered.
Mm-hmm.
And he just sounded like a machine. And that's what killed it.
She kind of sounded like that when she was asked what she would do on day one. And even if she didn't know the answer from a policy perspective, she ought to have known something. She literally could have just said, like, talk about like how she would redecorate the Oval Office or something. But she could have just been like, I would just take a moment and take in the moment of being the first woman to sit behind the Resolute desk, something like that. But she couldn't even come up with anything.
No, you have to trust yourself. And that's where Trump is very good. He trusts himself. He trusts himself. And so he feels he doesn't really have to do that much work. I mean, there's people around you to do the facts, you can, but
we were talking about that earlier, Scott, right? Like how, nobody, when you think about the great moments in American political debating, Nobody's thinking about that. Like, oh God, remember that time that Agnew, was able to really talk about the amount of milk subsidies in Maryland, and that just like knocked it. No one remembers statistics, quotes. They always remember those the moments. Jack Kennedy was a friend of mine. They remember, I will not, I will not exploit your youth and inexperience. They will.
Well,
The surprises,
1976.
the turns, right?
Yes. Well, we do not recognize that Eastern Europe is controlled by the Soviet Union. That torpedoed and played into all the stereotypes that Jerry Ford had in 76. And that really stopped. He was having some momentum. I mean, he really was coming on strong near the end. And that debate hurt him significantly. Okay. So now let's go on the other side. Let's go to the other podium and talk about Donald Trump. What does Trump have to do? What is a successful debate for Donald Trump?
I think a successful debate for Donald Trump, he only needs to really do one thing actively, and the rest of it has to be passively. He has to not fuck up is the main takeaway. So keep his answers succinct and understandable, and don't say anything fucking stupid. Now that's not going to be easy for him, but in terms of the active thing, but he managed to stay out of the way in the first 15, 20, 30 minutes of his debate with Biden. And he just let, Biden self-immolate. If he can do that to Harris, great. I mean, nobody remember, by the way, these debates now air so late at 9 p.m. Eastern time that, it won't be over until 10:30 on a weeknight, right? On a Tuesday. Most Americans aren't up watching the news, which is what this is, until 10:30 at night. They're just not. And 50% of Americans live in the Eastern time zone. If you count the Central time zone, 75% of Americans live in Central and Eastern time. So, most people are going to tune in for the beginning, and you're going to see that the ratings start to drop. People are going to peel away after the first 5, 10, 15, 30.
Oh, that happened in the first debate with Biden, but all they had to see was the first 20 minutes.
That's my point. And the last hour, Trump acted like a complete maniac, but it didn't matter. Nobody saw it. And I think that's going to be the case here. It's going to be whoever comes out of the gate strong is going to win this debate. I suspect she probably will. He can put her away if he basically swift boats her, right? Swift boating is when you go after your opponent's biggest strength and you turn it and you undermine it, or you turn it into their weakness, right? You flip the script. In the case of John Kerry, he was a war hero and a pacifist, both a volunteer in Vietnam and an anti-war peace activist. Karl Rove turned that against him with the swift boat stuff. If he can take her out at the knees over the being a DA and an AG, I think that will be powerful. A lot of Americans, me included, have had bad experiences with law enforcement and with the judicial system, with the courts. A lot of people don't like courts, and they don't like prosecutors. Prosecutors are cops. Cops are not popular. They are not liked. They are not beloved. No, I don't care how pro-police you are. When you see the flashing lights go on in your rearview mirror, you're worried. You're not happy because you're going to get to meet a man or woman in blue. So if he can go after her on that and say, this woman was putting people of color behind bars who were completely innocent, and when she found out they were completely innocent, she doubled down and she didn't care. It undermines her with the Black vote and with progressives and liberals. It also happens to have the benefit of being true. It also, gets, it kind of takes away the Trump as racist issue, I think. But I would definitely find some way to attack her on that. He could say, because I'm defending America, they went after me with lawfare. She's the kind of person who goes after people like me with lawfare.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's better, because I think generally people are going to support law and order, and that's what she's going to say she was protecting as a prosecutor.
Right.
And
He's
he, you know,
also,
he just,
he can also say, look, you were the chief law enforcement officer of the state of California, and that became a dangerous state under your
yes.
watch.
Would you walk through Los Angeles at night? No, you wouldn't. Would you go through San Francisco? No. You
Right.
know, yeah, I mean, he has those points, and
He's also gonna go after her as like Comrade Kamala, the communist. I don't know, you tell me. To me, that's laughable and hilarious.
yes, of
But
course it is.
but will that shore him up with is that red meat for the base, or would it play with independent voters or swing voters? I don't
No,
know the answer to that.
well,
It feels
I
so
don't.
old fashioned.
Yeah, it feels very old, and you know, she could pull the Obama. Hey, the 1980s are calling. They want their policy back.
Yeah.
And that would be effective. And if she does it and attributes it to Obama, then I think. But if she does it without
She'll
attribution,
probably pull the Putin card with the recent RT, the two RT people who were indicted by the DOJ. She'll probably try to be like, oh,
yeah,
if you vote, a vote for Trump is a vote for Putin.
yeah, and I would, frankly, I think that's.
It's politics.
Although
Politics.
so with Trump, I would also urge. I say, yeah, keep it short, man. Just keep it short. And he can't. I don't. He does not have that kind of self-discipline.
No.
He's going to continue to spew stuff that's simply not true. Now she's quick and smart enough to
Although
catch
so is
him.
she, apparently. She's already been like lying up a storm, man. It's like the Democratic ads are every bit as shameless as the Republican ones used to be.
Explain.
Well, like for example, Project 2025. I mean, Trump had nothing to do with it. Trump said, I don't have anything to do with it. He completely, walked away from it. He refused to be associated with it. Nevertheless, she keeps saying this is Trump's plan. Trump came up with it. I mean, that's just not true. He didn't come up with it.
No, but people close to Trump did come up with it, and people that were clearly play a major role in another Trump administration helped write this thing. So they, and because if he's as adult as we say he is, and everybody knows that he is, these guys are going to have pretty significant sway.
And she could have said that, but that's not what she said.
But you guys, they dumb it down in different ways than you and I would. Yeah. You got to distill down. So, okay, all of that being said, let's predict what happens, and then we will.
This is hard.
Put this.
I think the prediction part's going to is hard. I mean,
it's very hard.
I mean, you and I, we were very good at predicting what would happen with Biden. We said it over and over again that as soon as he was at that debate, he was going to be fucking finished, and he was.
Here's what's going to happen. If I may,
please.
I'll go first, if I may. I'll just say, but the one who's going to lose, Kamala Harris, will lose this debate because she's going to be way overprepared, way too stiff, unlikable, and dismissive. That's her go-to emotion, is to be dismissive. For some reason, she conflates that to being tough. And, I think two things will happen. She'll do that. Now, will Trump lose his mind? Will his mind come leaking out of his ears as much as Biden's did? No. But if Kamala Harris is smart, which again, she hasn't shown a lot of proclivity towards smartness. If she's smart, she'll shut up and let him talk. That's why they wanted the mics on. So he would, continue to blah, 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 blah. And, the Kaiser's stealing my string, kind of thing. So that's my prediction, is that Kamala Harris has a hell of a lot harder job, and I don't know that she's up to it. I think she will fail.
Yeah, I think that's it, right? I mean, the problem is that she has a lot of things to do that probably would be very tough for a really talented orator and debater to pull off. I mean, if she were Barack Obama, I'd say she'd have a better shot, but it would still be hard. I think it would be, she'll be pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Trump, we basically know him. Nobody's really watching him carefully. No one was watching him carefully in the Biden debate. The question for Biden was, is he fit to be president? And that's why people were watching. the question here is kind of the same thing. And it's kind of like, and the Biden debate is kind of like it's in the immediate rear view mirror. It's like, well, the last time the Democrats put up a Democratic presidential nominee, um, at a debate, he turned out to be Joe Biden. And it was so bad that he's no longer the nominee and probably shouldn't be the president. It's like,
Yeah.
so are they doing that again? I mean, this is like Tylenol after the poison, after the tampering. Do I dare to buy another bottle of this stuff now? The Democrats are selling a product. We know what the Republican product is. It's like, basically, it's a McDonald's. We know exactly what it is. It's not good, but it's reliable. We don't know what this product is with her, what she is. We don't know what she believes in. We don't know what she, when she said that, like, I mean, like, for example, I just thought it was like really, like, when in the Donna Bash interview, when she said, she was asked about fracking, and she just said 4 times, she repeated, my values haven't changed. Well, when someone's asking you the same question over and over again, a seasoned professional reporter like Donna Bash, the implication is that you haven't answered the question. And you haven't, and that just repeating the same bad answer is not going to get you very far. But that's what she did, right? And it didn't mean anything. Well, what do you mean your values haven't changed? What are your values? What are your values?
Yeah. That is key. That is a really good point, Ted. And that's, and one last question. Looking at the build up to this debate, neither side, particularly the Harris side, is setting any kind of expectations. They're not, her people are seeing how she's performing in the mock debates. If she's doing badly, that's when you say, oh, she's up against a guy who's going to say anything. Kamala Harris is a great administrator. She's not a great debater. But you set that table weeks ahead of time.
Well, yeah.
We have heard nothing. We have heard literally nothing. So that makes this debate even more important to your point.
Yeah. I feel, at the risk of, I don't want to be accused of weaseling out on the answer to your question. I don't firmly, I think that this could go either way. To me, this is like 60-40. I think it's 60-40 Trump's to lose. If he doesn't fuck up royally, she will be unpleasant. And in the end, she'll lose by a couple of percentage points, I think. I think she is an unpleasant person. And remember, she campaigned. The other thing is, Joy was the
yes
to the table, right? Well, as long as the Joy was what they were selling, things were going well. Then she was ahead 6 to 9 points in the polls. Then she did the interview. The Joy wasn't there. She left the Joy outside the studio, outside Harry's Cafe or whatever the fuck that was there.
Yeah.
So if she can bring the joy again if she can be the happy warrior at the debate, ooh, that could be powerful.
Yeah, I'm not sure she has that ability. Do you? Because I've never seen that performance from her before. That just someone who's like, this is great.
I'm so happy to be here.
I keep looking at Bill Clinton. He loved being there. He was happy to be there.
Yeah, I would be happy to be there.
Oh, how fun. I think you have to,
fun as shit.
After all the prep is done, like tonight or tomorrow, I would just say, you have the day off. Go for a walk. Go take a swim. Sleep in. Let's just relax and you're there. You're as there as you're going to be. You're going to, this is, just be you now. And I think her people are scared shitless when they just be you, because they're going to row.
No, yeah. I mean,
because Trump is Trump, and Trump is going to.
If she can be fun and funny,
oh God,
that would be a big deal. I don't know. I mean, or fake it for 90 minutes, right? Can she?
Yeah, just smile and just go, Don. You can, yes.
She could definitely say some funny stuff, like, it's so cool to be here with you, Donna. I always love The Apprentice. Like just say, WWE, oh my time, that time with Hulk Hogan, holy shit. Something
Yeah,
that
she doesn't.
something that like, turns that like makes things strange.
That would be kind of awesome. Well, we will all be watching. I suspect the ratings are going to be through the friggin' roof on
They will
this
be.
because this is important and it's kind of fun. This is democracy. So we
And
will
of
be
course,
back.
they're not going to be talking about the big issues that matter, but whatever.
They'll be talking about it, and and like you said, it's going to be the my values have never changed. Okay, well, our values never change here at the DMZ America
No,
podcast. So, Ted,
because we
real
don't have
quick, where can
values.
we have no values?
That's
Where can we
unchanged.
see all things Ted Rawlian?
Well, first and foremost, please buy my book, 2024 Revisited. Everywhere where, well, not everywhere where books are sold. Get it on Amazon, please, because that's where it's sold. Also go to rawl.com, RALL.com. Go to whowhatwhy.org and listen to, the center clip, which Scott and I are both on. It's an app. And what else? Oh, yeah. And of course, the Final Countdown radio show, where Scott is a frequent guest. Me and Steve Gill, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until 12 noon Eastern time. You can stream it on Rumble live or after the fact. And Scott, where can we get all your stuff?
Well, not just on the Final Countdown or on Center Clip, which is this wonderful app you need to check out, but also go to gocomics.com/Scott Stantis and see my editorial cartoons. Go to gocomics.com/Prickly City to read my political comic strip. Go to chicagotribune.com and see the work I do for them, or go to the Dallas Morning News and see the work I do for them, or sign up for the Smirkonish.com. And he has a very popular newsletter that I draw for as well. So that covers it all. Tomorrow night, democracy, America.
All right.
I
Thanks,
got nothing else.
everyone. Bye,
All
everyone.
right.
Ciao.
Bye.